Shalom, shalom, everybody. Ariel Tzadok here from the KosherTorah School, found online at www.KosherTorah.com. Bringing to you tonight, well, a lesson. I was about to say important and all that other kind of stuff, but you know something? I don't like artificial stuff. For those of you who know me here at the KosherTorah School, you know I don't like pretense. I don't prepare things. You don't see around me all the fancy books. I mean, if I can't get it out of my head through the mouth, then what's it all about? All right, tonight's topic is Mashiach Now. All right, prophecies, predictions, warnings is what I called it. I wrote up a little blurb about this class. There it is, okay? You'll find it in the little note section here. And let me give you a little background where I'm coming from right now. Because tonight is going to be what, for me, is going to be a very uncomfortable class. I'm going to tell you why it's uncomfortable. Because normally I speak from a academic point of view, a Torah point of view, where I'm trying to get you to bond with Hashem and Divikut and stuff. But now let me put things in context. Right now we are at the beginning of the Hebrew month of Elul. Elul is the month of preparation of Teshuvah, returning to God, before Rosh Hashanah, Judgment Day. One of my pet peeves, one of the things that bugs me the most, is the nature of mythology that has snuck in and become the definition of religion. Bottom line is, people today are practicing a myth as opposed to real religion. And like I said, that I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna speak my real guts here. That pisses me off. All right. I know a lot of you want me to be the high and lofty rabbi. Not tonight. All right. You know what's going through my mind right now? An old movie. We speak in our American culture in the language of movies and television and imagery, because that's how we've been taught. We don't read books anymore. We watch them. That's what we've done for the last, 50, 60, 70 years now. Many of you will remember the film, 1980s, Network, starring Peter Finch, playing a weird television news reporter named Howard Beale, who went crazy on air. And he gave a speech, from a point of complete frustration. And he gave out these words. You go Google this. You'll see the images on YouTube. And he says, "I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore." Well, you know something? I daily sit and read, believe it or not, the stuff that goes out on YouTube, the stuff that goes out in the news, the stuff that goes out on Facebook, and all these other sources. And my gosh, in the words of good old Mr. T, remember? I pity the fool who listens to all of this stuff and takes it seriously. My gosh, there's no conspiracy going on about mind control. The mind control is blunt, it's real, it's self-evident. There's no conspiracy about it. Our brains are mush. We are all brainwashed today. Yeah, and I'm mad as hell about it, and I'm sick and tired of it, and that is what I'm going to rail about for the next hour. So, Mashiach Now. Let's talk about what that really means, what people think. Let's expose some of those uncomfortable truths that are out there that so many people are desperate to discuss. Let's look at the facts. All right? You know what? My head. I always listen to my own little voice that goes on in my head. You might want to consider it to be something spiritual, holy. I don't know what it is. All I know is I know better than to listen. Let's take a quick step back. All right? Here in the United States, we have been inundated with imagery, television, movies, and now, of course, video games, social media. We are educated in the ways and means of the social media. We're watching, we're paying attention. Whenever I want to communicate with somebody, I can easily drop in a phrase or a term or a concept or something similar from a television show and a movie, and we all get it, don't we? If I want to talk to you about the Matrix, we know the Matrix. If I want to say the Force be with you, I want to quote to you Master Yoda. Everybody knows, right? If I say beam me up, Scotty, right? Everybody understands the context because our American culture gives us pictures and images, and that is how we have learned to communicate. Remember the old saying? A picture is worth 1,000 words. But we all know today, especially with a digital computer, right? We all know that a picture today means absolutely nothing. With proper digital or digitization from a computer, I can make anything appear. Whatever your imagination can conceive, I can make it there. And with our understanding of what we today call false news, fake news, I can make any story. You can, whatever you imagine. If you want to believe that right here in my office right now behind me are the invisible purple elephants and pink unicorns, we can make it happen now, can't we? Anybody who knows, the digital effects can make that stuff happen. We could actually see purple unicorns or pink elephants or whatever the heck flying through the air. Yeah, and then you go, I saw it. Did you see that video on YouTube about that Godzilla was real? And yeah, he was having lunch with Elvis in Los Angeles. Godzilla was having lunch with Elvis in Los Angeles? I saw the video. You want to talk about being brainwashed? Okay, I know you're not going to believe that Godzilla was having lunch in Los Angeles, but how much other BS do we believe? Look at what has happened to the foundational fabric of morals and values in Western civilization over the past 50, 60 years. It all started after World War II. It all started with a basic concept of rebellion. We all know, I'm that generation. I remember the 50s. I remember the 60s. I didn't watch it on TV. I lived it. Yeah, this nice dark-colored beard, that's an honor of the rabbinic. I'm an old guy. Don't forget that. And my black leather jacket that you see from the Lords of Flatbush in Greece, it's still hanging in my closet. I still wear it. And I still got my Harley in the garage and everything else. I'm old school. I grew up listening to Deep Purple, Steppenwolf, the old stuff. I'm dating myself because I'm using that as an authority for what I'm about to say. If I wanted to destroy the United States of America, this would be my plan. I would say like this: to defeat the United States militarily is impossible. To defeat the United States economically is impossible. How about we infiltrate the United States and over a long period of time corrupt it from inside? Let's start with the youth and instill within them the idea, the cultic idea, that to separate from and be different from the norm is the cool way to be. And the cool way to be is to be rebellious. How many of you remember Rebel Without a Cause, 50s stuff? You remember that stuff? Good old Jimmy Dean? Yeah? All right. That's where it starts. And look at where it developed. Look what happened in the 60s. Complete construct of opposition to the cultural order. Rebellion against God and religion started, all right? Promiscuity exploded like a cancer. Yeah, all these things, of course, they existed before. But at least, in quote, before, we acknowledged what was right from wrong. And if people were involved with illegal activities and drug abuse and immorality and adultery and fornication and all that. It was considered wrong. It was acknowledged as wrong. You know, in the day, a divorce, you had to have a reason for a divorce. And adultery was a darn good reason for divorce. Today, you can't have divorce, adultery as a reason. Why? Because almost so many people are doing it that it would be the grounds for almost all the divorce. They make it no fault because of the overwhelming inundation of immorality. This is like a plot. All right? Am I conspiratorial? I don't know. Who's making the plot? The Russians? The Chinese? I doubt it. I don't think they're that smart. In our Torah tradition, of course, we speak about the, quote, dark forces. Oh, I definitely believe in them. And I don't think that they're just spiritual hanging out in the ethereal plane. They're probably, let's get blunt, probably in inner earth, the malachim, the fallen angels, the nephilim. Everybody talks all about them. Somebody's asking me how I feel about the president. You know, let me just digress for a minute. The one thing that I find is most disgusting is the disrespect shown to people in authority, especially the President of the United States. I don't care if you agree or disagree with the policies or the person. You're supposed to show respect. Pirkei Avot says if it wasn't for the fear of government, we'd all be animals. And take a look at what's happening in our world today. I don't care if it was Mr. Reagan or Mr. Bush Sr. or Mr. Clinton. You hear I'm referring to them? Or Mr. Bush Jr., Mr. Obama, or Mr. Trump. We refer to our leaders because God, in our opinion, is the one who puts them up there. God alone is the one, and therefore we respect our leaders. And somebody is speaking here in text about the myth of the 13 families. How do you know they're 13? How do you know they're not 14? How do you know they're not 12? Whenever I see things like this and they're out there, absolutely guaranteed, 100%, it's all BS. How do you know? How do you know? Really? Do I have to answer that? Well, I'm going to. Do you really think that the real powers that be are so stupid that the truth is going to get out there so that you can banter it about? All right? You've heard all the story about the Rothschilds. Oh, yeah, they have all this mystical power. And, of course, who are the Rothschilds? The Rothschilds are the Rockefellers, and they're the Hitlers, and blah, 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 and all this crazy nonsense. And, of course, it all boils down to, of course, we Jews. We Jews are behind it all. Yeah. If you listen to that same old nonsense, you know, even in the ancient alien crowd, we have these anti-Semites. They're out there. Jews are the reptilians. Yeah, we got the secret. You know, they're people. They get these ideas from like the old 1980s television program V. You remember they had the big ships, the UFOs come down, the hot sexy guys and girls come off, right? Everybody's woo, and all of a sudden they unzipper themselves like they got a zipper and they're reptiles underneath. And people take this what, seriously? Are you insane? Yeah. Sorry. Like I said, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. We need to wake up. You want to talk about Mashiach now? I'm talking about Mashiach now. Because you got to understand the nature of the brainwashing that we are under at this time. You sit and you look at what the political candidates are saying. How, don't you know by now, whenever a political candidate makes a promise, right? How many of them are really fulfilling their promises? You want to know a candidate that you should believe in? Look at the one who fulfills their promises. If somebody doesn't fulfill their promise, what can I say? How many times have people said, yes, I'm going to do, if I'm elected, I'm going to make sure there are no more taxes. and I'm gonna, legislate in Congress that Mashiach comes right away, and peace on earth, and the aliens are gonna land, and blah, 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 blah. Now, okay, nonsense. This is nonsense. Now, let's talk about business. You want to know who's, in quote, really behind it? The conspiracy, who's doing it? Wouldn't you like to know? Frankly, I'd like to know too, because I'm not so sure that there is, even though just moments ago I said that there is a real group of people out there who have power. I don't doubt that. I certainly hope so, and I'm going to tell you why. Because if this was left into the hands of angelic princes, a point that's made very clear by the Kabbalists is that these, in quote, angelic princes, we call the Nephilim, all right? Oh my gosh. Pray God we never fall into their hands. Remember, Yetziratic beings, the angelic world is in what we call the domain of Yetzirah. That's the higher dimensional plane around ours. We talk about this in meditation and how you need to experience it. Well, those entities, they're looking down on us, and they can manipulate us telepathically. And that is how they maneuver things on Earth. And they look at us pretty much as pieces on a chessboard. And that's what's going on here. They got their, in quote, overlords over them, and they're messing with us, and we're like pawns. That's the result of what we call eating of the tree of knowledge, good and evil. We are connected to the highest levels. And if we pierce the veils of all this BS, this facade of lies, we can get to the truth. But for those of you who know, KosherTorah.com, I focus on teaching the single biblical commandment of what we call divikut, bonding with God, the meditative technique, with the intent, putting aside all the mythologies and getting to the essence of what contact, communion with the higher dimension is. And as you do that, you will indeed come in contact with all those other entities that are around you, because once you can see, they will see you as you will see them. And you can't be afraid of them. They are not invincible. They are not immortal. They are not omnipotent. Just because they are in a different dimensional plane means absolutely nothing. I've started a series of lesson shorts that I have on YouTube. It's here on Facebook, and of course on our Patreon page, where I'm teaching the holy names. And I'm doing this with a specific intent. Because like it says in Psalm 119, all right, Et lasot Lashem, hefero Toratecha. It's time to act for God, because people are making void the Torah. It's time to rip away all the mythologies. It's time to rip away all the BS and get real. We have to understand, and we were talking about going to God and all this stuff. First of all, understand some basic foundations. God, number one, is not a little old man with a white beard sitting on a cloud somewhere whose picture was taken and put on the Sistine Chapel by Michelangelo. If that's your image of God, you got a lot of growing up to do. God is not your daddy. God isn't even your king. God is a concept, a consciousness, a reality, so far beyond anything that we could ever understand or hope to understand, that all we can seek to do is experience it. And that's exactly what we endeavor to do. You want to say, God is love. Well, in my Bible, God says God is everything. And I know everything includes both love and hate. God is both light and darkness. God is both good and evil. Where does it say that? How about Isaiah chapter 45, verse 7? Read it for yourselves. Let's dispel with all this mythology out there. You got bad guys out there, all right? If these Nephilim, fallen angels, or whoever the hell they are, we call them the Sanhedrin Elyon, okay? If they're out there doing their thing, it's very possible that, in quote, the true dark lords. And the true dark lords aren't these weirdos who dress up in costumes and go hang out saying, I am evil. No, you want to know who the real dark lords are? The disgusting people? They're that ones who rise to the top to take power over the world. And you hear all about their disgusting evil things. For decades, we have heard of all the evil, disgusting things that the rich and famous do behind, closed doors. And then you got this Epstein stuff and that Maxwell woman. And all of a sudden, this stuff starts coming out. Well, what do you know? Look at what they do. Look how they've corrupted America. Look what happened to the hippies of the 60s. They transformed. And think about it. If you look back to the liberalism of John F. Kennedy, that today is almost conservative. If you look at the liberalism of today, it's Marxist. Now, if you want to believe in Karl Marx, go for it. That's not an issue. If you want to build something new that's better, cool. But if you are destroying just for the sake of destruction, if you are negative without the positive, then you are an agent of evil. And you are serving like a puppet, a master that you do not understand, whose sole intent is the destruction of freedom. Remember how freedom was lost in old Egypt? Remember, it was through the economic manipulation. It was brought about by all people, Joseph. Joseph pretty much created the first communist society where everything was a slave to Pharaoh. Well, guess where we are today? Now, we are bottom line slaves. Everybody's so concerned today. They're going to put a tracking device in a vaccine, that COVID-19. Why the heck do you think they would do that? Why do you think they even need that? Do you think you're so important that the powers that be give a darn about where you're going or what you're doing? Who the heck do you think you are? You're insignificant. You're one of 8 billion people on the planet. I'm nobody. We're all nobodies. Trust me. They want to know what you're doing. They know right now that you're watching this video. They, whoever they are, the powers that be, can tell if you're watching this live or recording. They have data mining. They know every website you've ever been to. They know every purchase you've ever made. They know so much. They can put together everything about you. Now, who are you that anybody's going to, take up the system? Nobody. I'm nobody. But that system exists so that if there are bad guys out there endeavoring to do bad stuff, they know everything about it. And I will tell you something, all right? There's a lot of classified stuff, obviously, I can't say, but I will tell you this. There are technologies, the likes of which are readily available in certain circles, that you wouldn't even believe exist. You would think it's something out of advanced Star Trek or some other science fiction. Half of those ships that you see flying around out there, those aren't aliens. They're not even from inner Earth. Enough said. Yeah, you got a lot of stuff going on. And it's for a purpose. Look at how this country, our Western civilization, has been chipped and chipped and chipped away. The first thing that was attacked was faith and belief in God. The first things that were attacked was a rebellion against authority. The authority does this, you got to do it the other way, just to be contrary. Well, let me tell you a good thing about authority. Authority keeps things in balance. You look at the way the police today are treated. Now, let's be blunt. I know a lot of police officers, and the ones I know are decent, good guys. But I read and I see online the stories. I see a lot of crazy people doing a lot of dumb stuff. Yeah, you got a lot of bad apples out there. Mostly the younger ones, mostly. And yeah, they got to be weeded out. And the police themselves should be the ones to take their own bad guys and, symbolically speaking, crucify them. Because when you put on that badge, you are no longer an individual. You are representing a system. And when you represent the system, like being a rabbi, you have to rise up and represent that right. Now, if somebody disrespects you, I believe in the old days, but you don't go around acting, like a stormtrooper, demanding, ordering people around. You gotta be realistic. And they have the training for this. And today, with all the videos and stuff, every little stuff comes out. But look at what's going on. Look at the rioting in the streets. You know something? Violence and destruction is never tolerable. Never. 0, 0, 0. Standing up for what you believe in, million-man protest. Even Louis Farrakhan, of all people, vile hater of Jews. He brought 1 million people to Washington, D.C. years ago. 1 million people. They didn't burn anything down. They didn't create graffiti. They respectfully demanded and spoke out. You got to respect that. Okay? Agree or disagree, you respect the way. That's what you got to understand. We are in very peculiar times now because the United States of America, Western civilization, the culture of freedom itself is now under attack. And I'm going to tell you something else. Along the grapevine, wink, wink, years ago, at least 20, I was like a little birdie given an idea saying when the 2020s come, that's when you're going to see the big move happen. And what do you know? The minute 2020 hits, COVID-19 hits. Take a look at this virus of ours, okay? It's closed the entire economy of the world. What on earth? This has never happened before in human history. Yeah, it's a bad virus. People are dying. It's terrible. Everybody acknowledges that. It's a serious thing. And if you got to wear a mask, wear a mask. What's the big deal about it? It's not a simple, I am free, I don't need to wear a mask. Wear the freaking mask. Who cares? That's not a battle you need to fight. But at the same time, well, it doesn't really help. I agree. Probably doesn't help. So what? Remember this. Every move you make is watched already. You don't need a tracker and some stupid vaccine. Everything about you is already known. We're already at that lowest level. And things are happening. The attacks upon us right now, with the social unrest, this is an organized, planned event. How curiously convenient that all of these episodes with the police and the demonstration happening right around election time. Wink, wink. But of course, it's all coincidence, right? The COVID-19, it's happening right now, just before elections. Wink, wink. Yeah, everything. Okay. Elections. Who's going to win? That's God's decision. But I will tell you this. Regardless of who wins, if certain elements are put into power, they will comprehensively destroy the freedoms of this country. And if the freedoms go in America, the world itself will topple. What are you going to do about that? You want Mashiach now. I've warned you over and over and over again. If you think Mashiach is coming on a white horse out of the sky singing that old Mighty Mouse song, "Here I come to save the day," well, you want to know something? Don't hold your breath. Ani ma'amin be'emunah shlema be'be'at HaMashiach. I believe in perfect faith in the coming of Mashiach. And I believe he can come at any moment, even before the end of this lecture. I believe Mashiach can come at any moment. That doesn't mean that he has to. That doesn't mean that he will. Just because he can doesn't mean he will. First of all, what the heck does it mean for Mashiach to come anyway? Let's deal with some real stuff here. Okay? Number one, you want to learn about Messianic prophecies and the like, go to my YouTube channel. I have an entire series of videos all about Messianic prophecies, talking all the teachings from the Gemara and some of the stuff in the Kabbalah. You go to KosherTorah.com. I have all the biblical prophecies covered there as well. And if you want the post-apocalyptic, post-Gemara stuff, all the Kabbalah stuff and everything, I have a course on it online. Go to KosherTorah.com, see for yourselves. All the material is already out there for your academic review. But here's the deal. I see so many people out there are so convinced the Messiah is coming now in this year. Frustration. Here's the frustration, right? Because you have rabbis right now in Israel saying, this is the year Messiah is coming. And people here in the West, more so evangelical Christians, they're the ones who are listening to what the rabbis are saying. But they know, Christians do, of course, that any Jewish Messiah to come certainly isn't Jesus, and therefore must be, according to their interpretation, the Antichrist. And you see that subtle little anti-Semitism in the evangelical raising its little snake-like head. Yeah. Oh, they love Israel. They love the Jews if you convert. But when you say, no, we're not going to convert, we're going to stay faithful to our Torah, and that's the way it is, all right? I tell this to Christians all the time, and they got a big problem with this, and I'm going to tell it to you now. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That's a Jewish teaching. Did you know that? John 1:1. What do you think the Word of God is? It's the Torah. So, when I hear, I am the way, the truth, and the life, no man comes to the Father but by me, John 14:6. Who said that? Jesus said that. No. The Word of God is allegedly saying that. The Word of God is the Torah. The Torah is the way. The Torah is the truth. The Torah is the life. And no man comes to the Father other than by the Torah. Gee, that sounds Jewish again. Son of a gun. Yeah, people don't like the Jewish origins of what Yeshu taught. They don't like the Jewish origins of Paul's teachings and all the rest. But I try to help my Christian brothers and sisters recognize we Jews aren't going to hell. We're not your enemies. Okay? We're brothers and sisters. We're in this together. Stop this theological hatred against people who are your natural brothers and sisters. This garbage has got to stop. Don't you realize what the heck we're up against? I wrote about this long ago, and you see it happening. Evangelicals, you are the new Jews. Christians, you are the new Jews. Look how Christians are being treated all around the world in certain countries. Look how evangelicals are being treated here in this country, just like Jews were treated. And what goes around comes around. And please, for the record, I do not believe, like many of my peers, that everybody who's born a Jew is a Jew. You got to go after them, bring them back to Torah and love them. I don't buy any of that stuff. I hold by an opinion of Rabbi Yitzhak Duman-Akko in his book Marat Ayin, who states that if and when you see a person who's born Jewish fall away from the faith, probably because somehow, somewhere in their soul, they're just not Jewish at all. Maybe in their bloodline there was a blemish or something, and they're just going back to where they belong. I agree with that. I agree with that big time. I have members of my own family, my own flesh and blood, who are so diametrically opposed to anything. Well, that's their right, that's their freedom, that's their karma, as we would say. We call it their mazal, their goral, right? We got to understand the reality here. Who is our true brother, sister, who's not? Because ultimately, look throughout human history, and you will see Jewish turncoats, secular and religious conversions. These people have been the scourge of Jews and Judaism and the worst anti-Semites. Even Tomas Torquemada, the priest who started the Spanish Inquisition, is a Jewish convert. Did you know that? Take a look at some of these, in quote, so-called Israeli converts. They become some of the biggest anti-Semites. Some of these Jewish missionaries are the biggest anti-Semites. I don't blame the evangelical Christians for having this poison and putting it, because it's coming from Jewish turncoats. Please, these people are not Jewish just because their bloodline may have been Jewish. Take a look at all these terrible people out there who are, bloodline Jewish, born Jewish, but who represent every value contradictory to Torah and Judaism under the sun. Please don't call them Jewish. Don't even consider them part of us. They're not. Let them go. Gesundheit, adios, amigos, sayonara, shalom aleichem. Go. You're a lousy Jew. Go be a lousy something else. I don't want you. Right? Oh, I'm so judgmental. Oh, so what? I'm judgmental. I don't care. I'm only concerned about you guys who want real righteousness. You want Mashiach now. Let me tell you what's going to happen. All right? Let's talk about what the evangelicals said. Is a Mashiach coming? I doubt it. Not what they think. How about Mashiach ben Yosef? The one who has to come before Mashiach ben David. Okay, let's talk about Mashiach ben Yosef. Let's talk about what the Christians call the Antichrist. Yes, in the Jewish tradition, we know about this. It's called Armilus. You'll see it in all the Jewish midrashim. I've translated it. Other rabbis have translated it. Go Google. You'll see. This is pretty much the story and how it works. Are we expecting a Jewish leader? Well, I wrote about this. I wrote a big, long essay about this. It's available on KosherTorah.com. Go there, do a search under Mashiach ben Yosef. Who is Mashiach Yosef? What is his secret identity? I don't know. Why would you even think I have that answer? What do you see the purple elephants behind me and the pink unicorns? Do you see an angel behind me whispering, telling me the secrets here? Come on, let's get real. Understand the foundation of our sacred, holy, rabbinic Judaism. I love our system. Why? Because we're the only ones that doesn't go out there and proclaim, "Thus saith the Lord." No rabbi ever said that. Everything about our faith is based upon what we call deot, opinions. When you look at the Mishnah, which is the compilation of the oral Torah, Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi from the 2nd century, he never says, "Thus saith the Lord." Baloney. He says, Rabbi Shimon says this, Rabbi Yossi says this, Rabbi Yehuda says this. These are the opinions. These are the traditions that we have accepted and embraced upon ourselves. This is what we call the links of our chain, our Masorah. This is what defines Torah Judaism. You're either connected or you're not. The Gemara. In my opinion, the Gemara is the highest of all the Kabbalistic, mystical books ever written. I love it. Why? Because it teaches you both intellect and intuition. It teaches you how to be rational in this world and psychic and intuitive in the other world. I love that beautiful dance. It reminds me of the movement of Tai Chi and Qigong, of having to flow in and out at the same time. That's why I love Gemara. Got a Gemara course for you online if you're interested in learning Gemara. But now, move along. Our sages always have different opinions. All right? We have the joke. Bring up any subject, and there's always 3 opinions. This one, that one, and the other one. I like that, because that requires of you this one terrible thing that this social media of today takes away from you, and that is your responsibility to think. You like being told what to believe. You like being told what to think. You watch your television program, and your television program is going to present to you characters who represent reprehensible moral role models. But yes, they're the good guys, so we follow along. Yes, I want to be just like this reprehensible moral role model. And that's nothing new. That goes way back when. That's disgusting. That's your brainwashing for you. No conspiracy required. It's right there in front of your eyes to see. That's why rabbis like me tell you, turn off your television sets. Get out of this crap that's poisoning your minds, frying your brains. Getting back. Mashiach ben Yosef. Okay? Let's stay focused. Who is Mashiach ben Yosef? Like I said, you have opinions of our sages. You have the different views represented. And we don't go around saying, that's dumb, that's stupid, blah, 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 blah. We say, Elu ve'elu divrei Elohim ha'im. These and these are the words of the living God. You know what that means? That we respect the different views. And we acknowledge that no one has the final answer. Rambam, Maimonides, codified the laws. When he codified the laws talking about Mashiach, he says, we got so many different ideas, so many different beliefs. It's nothing to codify into a code of faith. Mashiach is coming. I believe he can come at any second. Right? Ani ma'amin. Done. More than that, Mashiach ben Yosef. Is it a person? Who is he? What is he? I've written about, and I believe, you read a whole bunch of pages that I document, that Mashiach ben Yosef doesn't have to necessarily be an individual. I believe Mashiach ben Yosef is actually Medinat Yisrael, the state of Israel today, because it's fulfilling the role of what Mashiach ben Yosef is supposed to do. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm a very big fan of the state of Israel. Oh, the state of Israel is corrupt as corrupt can be. I won't live there now because it's so crazy and insane. I can't even afford it. But it's always going to be my home. And I'm going to tell you this. When you look and understand at what Israel is doing today, look at what they have brought to the world. This is a group of people, a country split down the middle, in which the religious are so intimidated by the success of the secular that they're becoming more and more and more extreme, to the point that they're becoming literally insane in their inability to deal with the real world. The Haredim today, they need to get into secular education. No, they don't need to become philosophers. They need to become computer technicians. They need to become doctors. They need to become scientists. They need to get into the real world with the real brass tacks of stuff. And if they ever did that, oh my gosh, they could bring Mashiach, the real one. So, when the evangelicals are out there saying, oh yes, the rabbis say the Messiah is coming this year, but he's going to be the Antichrist. And what comes next? Right? Well, the Antichrist comes, and the Jews are all going to believe in him because they're all evil and bad, and Jesus hates them because they don't accept Jesus. They're all going to go to hell. Okay. I mean, how many times we've been told we're all going to hell, all right? Oh, you are going to hell because you don't believe in Jesus. Yeah. Okay, please. Enough nonsense with that, all right? Even Yeshua himself in Matthew 24 doesn't say that. Where the heck do you come across to say it, all right? You're the ones, my evangelical friends, of whom Yeshua will say, depart from me, I've never known you, because of your judgmental hatred. Yeah, hatred of his people. Deal with it. Now, we have a concept and an understanding, and I fear that this is what's coming. That which in our prophecy we've called Armilus. The Christians call it the Antichrist. And no, I'm not worried about a chip going into my hand or into my forehead with the number 666, which, mind you, if you look at the original, is not the real number. All right? They already had chipped you, symbolically speaking, everywhere you go. All right? I go into Walmart now to do my shopping, and they don't even take cash anymore. Literally, I had to go up to the service desk. I said, where can I pay in cash? They said, I'm sorry, we don't have that service now. You don't have that service? What happens to people who don't have debit cards or credit cards, right? They put you into the system. All right, you're already chipped. There you go. I don't need any more than what's already there. There is total control. And people here, you want to talk about the Greeks and the Anunnaki. First of all, Zechariah Sitchin was a horrible interpretive Sumerian. All of his understandings of the Anunnaki is not legitimate. It is not authentic understanding of the Sumerian text. All Mr. Sitchin did was create a new myth. A new myth, which of course people fall for today, just like they do everything else. But look at today. Look at what we believe in. All right? The stories. Remember we talked about stories, how everything today is all big, big stories? How many of us, this is a big thing, we always talk about this. The old stereotype of people who would watch the daily soap operas. How many of you remember things like, what is it, The Day the World Turns? Is that it? General Hospital. Remember Dark Shadows from my day, Barnabas Collins and all that? I remember that stuff. All right? Day to day to day, you get into the lives of your characters. How many times do we watch movies and we're so intensely involved in the lives of Luke Skywalker or Rey or this one or that one? And as I peruse YouTube, I see all these videos that people invest so much time in to give alternative views of this and theories of that and the backstories of this and the backstories of that. One of my favorite television programs of all times was Babylon 5. Very smart. Michael Stravinsky put that together. He knew what he was talking about. Never watched the series? Watch it. And I see these videos. People say, the backstories. The backstories of what? These are characters. They don't exist. They never existed. There is no backstory. What the heck are you doing? You're creating an emotional response to something that doesn't exist. Master Yoda, the character, make-believe little character in Star Wars, presents very spiritual, profound ideas and teachings. No, sorry, those teachings aren't Jedi. There is no Jedi. That's also make-believe. But the ideas and the concepts that are put into that make-believe form, those are real. But today, people no longer distinguish between one image and another. And for them, the stories of Star Wars are really no different from the stories of the Bible. One is a set of stories that we all believe in, and the other is a set of stories that we all believe in. And emotionally, internally, we have now erased the line between real and false. And the more and more virtual reality gets real, you can become immersed in a reality not that different from the real movie, The Matrix. What do you think of that? That's what's coming down the pike. So, here we are today. Rosh Hashanah, 1 month away. It'll be on that night, the Rosh Hashanah, that the fate of this world is going to be decided. Because right now, we are close to judgment. Like it says on Rosh Hashanah, Hayom Harat Olam. This is the day of judgment. Everything is going to pass through the Libra scales. And please remember, this is not mythology. This is psychic, cosmic energy. Call it from the eastern side, karma. God's not going to send down lightning bolts to punish anybody. It doesn't work like that. But nature will take its course. If you look at the destruction of the first temple, the days, of Nebuchadnezzar, study the history of how it happened. It didn't happen because God made it happen. No, the people made it happen. Because they made one stupid mistake after stupid mistake after stupid mistake, and God just said, okay, you want to be stupid, you want to make mistakes? Hands off. Go for it. See what happens as a result of your stupid mistakes. In the Kabbalah, this is called ach be'ach, turning from a face-to-face relationship to a back-to-back relationship. We talk about this in our Kabbalah. Now, somebody's mentioning here in text, there's no forgiveness unless one merits it. Well, there's no such thing as merit or, for that matter, forgiveness. But I will tell you this. If you screw something up, you better fix it. All right? Don't go thinking that God's going to fix things. We each have a responsibility to take care of our lives and to do what's right and to do what's best. And if you allow this world to go down the toilet, guess where it's going? That's right. And don't think the Messiah is going to come and save you. That's right. We have an election coming up in this country, we have other elections in other nations. You better think very well and deep what's motivating your choices. As if your choices, I don't know, do they really matter? Or is everything under a much greater control than you and I think? That's very conspiratorial. And I have to admit, I sometimes wonder how much of this is all orchestrated. Because as I see everything happening in the world today, I sit back, stroking my beard, and I'm saying, you know, if I was sitting behind closed doors and the cabal controlling the world, I couldn't create a more better plan than how everything is happening right now. My gosh, somebody must be behind what the hell's going on. Why? Because it's just too damn perfect to be accidental. That's the way I look at it. That's the way I look at it. So what are we going to do? Well, again, are you expecting Mashiach this year? Don't hold your breath. Are you expecting apocalypse? Don't hold your breath. Should you expect the fall of the United States of America? Don't hold your breath. I'm going to tell you what's real here. We are in a fundamental change. That we are. And you're going to look back a year from now, and it's not going to go back to normal. It's going to be a new normal. Just like it was after 9/11, so it's going to be after COVID-19. There's going to be a new normal. And our buttons are being pushed. We are being herded like a flock. And good, bad, right, wrong, and you're going to sit there and wave your hand, I have my freedom. Okay, you want to be free? Burn your credit cards, your identification, go move out into the woods, and you can have all the freedom you want. As long as you're not poaching on any land that's going to get you arrested. But as long as you're a part of the system, all right, I know what rural living is like. I love rural living. All right, you're not going to get me moving into a city. Knoxville suburbs is as big as I'm going to go. I love, but I know. Even when I was out in Tellico, right? We're out in the middle of nowhere, for those of you who knew it, right? I still was part of the system. They still knew who I was and where I was. They always will. But you want to know something? I don't care. I have nothing to hide. If anybody, in quote, wants to come after me, do you know why I don't fear, in quote, them coming after me? Because I don't have such delusions of grandeur that I'm so important that anybody would care. I don't care who's watching the video, who's listening to what I'm saying. All right? I'm not going to get a knock on the door. Rabbi, this is the Central Intelligence Agency. We need you for clandestine activity. Oh, really? I think if I ever heard that knock on my door, I would laugh so hard, they'd probably have to take me to the hospital and have a heart attack, because I would think it was so ridiculous. I wouldn't believe them. I'm not that important. I'm not that significant. I'm not that paranoid. And neither are you that important. So don't go being afraid of the system. It's the way of the world. You don't like it? A lot of things we don't like. I have long said, and hear me now, I don't give a darn what you think. Not at all. Your thoughts are sacred between you and God. I don't give a darn how you feel. Your feelings are sacred between you and your loved ones or your counselor. I only care about what you do, how you act. That's the world in which we all share. And that's the realm and the domain in which we need to live. So we need to understand freedom. Freedom today is going to be freedom from the limitations that we place upon ourselves. Freedom is flexibility. Like in the old wise words of Paul Atreides, I will bend like a reed in the wind. Yeah, we got a big bad system up against us now. Yes, you do. And you're not going to take it down. I don't know if it's because of the Nephilim or the 13 families or any of this other nonsense. I don't care if it's the aliens or the hollow earth. I don't give a darn who it is. What difference does it make? You and I are not going to change that. But you can fight. You don't have to submit to the system. And now in the few minutes we have left, I'm going to tell you what to do. Understand, remember we said there's no duality. There's no good versus evil duking it out for the sake of your soul, a la Christianity. The Bible says very clear, like I quoted to you before, Isaiah 45:7, God alone. Good, evil, light, dark, all from God. That angel who we call Samakel, he is a faithful servant of God, as is Michael and Gabriel, his brothers. So it says the sons of God, go look at Job chapter 1, right? His job is to be the one who trips us up. His job is to be the prosecutor. That's what he does. It's a nasty, dirty job, right? And we create all kinds of mythologies around him. Forget him, all right? They sets a stumbling blocks, walk over it. The one thing that's going to free you now is you overcoming the system. How? Not through political revolution and nonsense. It's already done. It's gone. You have the power to psychically connect and rise above the system. You can get out. You can move psychically above the system and see with your own eyes. And then, if and when poop is going to hit the fan, and if and when things are going to happen, internally, psychically, you will know in advance. You'll feel it. You'll know where to go, where to move, when to be there, and what to do. You'll know how to invest. You'll know how to buy and sell. You'll know everything. Shaviti Hashem lenegdi tamid. I place Yud K Vav K before me always. I tell you this over and over again. You want to bring Mashiach, then you got to invest in Mashiach consciousness. You got to learn how to be obedient. I wrote this thing today. The one word, that 4-letter word, that the non-religious who are really anti-religious, they hate God. They hate this one word, not S-H-I-T, not F-U-C-K. Those words they love all the time. This word they hate. O-B-E-Y. Obey. Fear God. Obey God. Don't tell me, well, I'm modern and I'm going to interpret Torah my way. You don't interpret your Torah. You know what? If you want to interpret Torah in a way, then you be like a rabbi and you have your foundation and your sources and you show it and enter into the rabbinic realm of debate and your words will rise up too. But don't go, I'm not going to do this. You're fine. If you don't want, remember this, God materializes through nature. Remember the plagues in Egypt? They were all natural occurrences. If you look even at the parting of the Red Sea, big wind, all of nature. God works through nature. And remember something about nature. The occurrences of nature are very conveniently timed. That is how you recognize the hand of God. You want to mess around with God, you're messing around with nature. You want to mess around with nature? Go ahead. Knock yourself out. Try to take on the universe. See how you fare. How's that? You want to fight God? You want to fight universe, which is his hand? Go for it. Knock yourself out. I promise you, in the end, you will get it right. Might take you 1,000,000 years. You know, Kabbalists, we believe in reincarnation. Might take you another 10,000, 100,000 reincarnations. No problem. Give yourself 1,000,000, 2,000,000 years. And if you're the type that you want to suffer through another 100,000 incarnations and suffer for 2,000,000 years, knock yourself out. No sweat off. I'm going my way. You go your way. Stop fighting. Learn the first commandment is the fear of God. Yirat Shamayim. You turn to the Torah, and I don't care what religion you are. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you are. You turn to God and remember these big words. Not my will, your will be done. Hashem, God, what am I supposed to do? How can I be a better human being? What can I do to make myself as an individual better so that I can contribute to making this world better? This world has got so much constipation, vomit, garbage, every which way. What can I do to make it better? How can I contribute? And when you choose to walk the light, guess what happens? All those forces of darkness out there, they're going to test you. Oh, that's why they're called Satan. That means the opposition. All right? You don't just pray, oh, please, God, let him out. Get him out of my way, please, please. No, you learn to kick butt. When they stand against you, you use holy names. You use the power of God. You use whatever you bash them in the face if you have to. It's an interesting midrash that stated that when Moses ascended to heaven to receive the Torah from heaven, actually receive the Torah from Hashem, a certain malach opposed his ascent. He says, what are you doing here, human? Disgusting. You don't belong up here. Moses says, I'm up here to receive the Torah from God. Get out of my way. I'm not getting out of your way, human. And the Midrash says Moses struck him and killed him. He killed an angel? He kicked butt. Just like Jacob, our father, kicked butt when he fought the opposition angel. And that is when he became known as Yisrael, one who stands against God and wins. That is our secret of ascent. That is our ticket towards victory. Stop being a victim and start being a victor. No, you're not going to fight. You're not going to change the world. Stop trying. Stop focusing on the nonsense and the garbage and the lies. That's where they're directing you. You turn inward to God. You say, God, how can I be the better person? Overcome all of those obstacles in you. Kick butt. Be strong. As the wise words of our Pirkei Avot said, in a place where there are no men, strive to be a man. Ladies, Adam is men and women, male and female. So that means all of us. Be strong. Overcome. You want Mashiach now? Stop looking for some salvation from out there. Salvation is going to come from within. And if we do have an, in quote, alien invasion, and if it's a false flag from inner earth or our own forces or whatever, I don't care. You be faithful to the truth within, and as long as you have that psychic power, they will open a path for you to have safety and for you to have security so that the rest of the world will go through their shtick as they need to. No, there's not going to be a rapture, Christians. I'm sorry. You don't find that in your Christian Bible, and it's just not going to be the way you think. So, let's get off this anti-Semitism crap and start standing together as we need to. And those people who want to be against God and against the Torah, okay, adios. Go your way, we go our way. That's it. You face your karma, your mazal, we'll face ours. That's it. All right? In 1,000,000 years from now, we'll all be together anyway, so don't worry about it. But right now, we're going to play the game. And that game is called Tikkun. So, that's what's real. That's what's happening. This is what we're up against right now. I hope you're paying attention and getting this message. Anything else I need to talk about? Just remember, you have a power within you. Don't waste your times thinking that you're going to pontificate your political philosophies on Facebook and on YouTube. What a waste of time. Focus on what's important. Bond with God. Discover that. Anything that I can do to help in this endeavor, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm putting all those holy names out there for you to learn the right way how to use these things as opposed to stupid mythologies and fairy tales, which are actually guiding you in a completely opposite direction. Be free. Be free. That is what our Torah is. It's real freedom. Discipline, control. Where you have the power. You say yes, and your yes is yes. You say no, and your no is no. Nothing can overcome you. You have the power. Do it. In the wise words of Hillel, seal. Come on. Go do it. I've ran out of time. I can go on and on. I see all these rabbis that go on for 2-3 hours at a time. It drives me nuts. I can't see how they can sit and talk for that long. I said what needs to be said. You've heard what needs to be heard. We'll go back to our regular programming in our future classes. Pay attention to stuff I'm coming out with. read the stuff I have. Take a look at the courses I have. Consider becoming a supporting student if you're so inclined. All right? Like every other organization, we depend on the support of our friends and supporters, yeah. But, I've never been good at raising money. It's just, what can I say? I trust in God somehow, somewhere people, maybe I'm stupid. Because I actually believe that people will figure out their responsibilities and do it. And most never do. All right. We've been around for almost 30 years. God's blessings will be around for the next 30. Alrighty, guys. Thank you for your support, your time, and your patience in hearing me. All right? Go check out what's important and do it. Ariel Tzadok, KosherTorah School, KosherTorah.com. I'll see you all next time. Thank you again. Chodesh Tov Milrach, Gamar Chatima Tova. All right? It's a little early for that, but still, remember, now's your opportunity to get things right. Do it. Take advantage of the times. I'll see you all soon.